Hey guys, thought we might take a few moments to put the spotlight of common sense onto this privacy, Bradley Manning, Assange, who's the latest guy, the other guy, secret phone tapping, NSA, secret stuff. So just wanted to start off with a quick one. Here's one for you. Who's heard of Echelon? The Echelon system. It's a system that America, Canada, Australia, I think New Zealand, Britain, maybe somebody else, made to monitor long distance calls or satellite calls. So it's supposed to be a secret, but it's really badly kept secret. So there's been stories written about it over the years. Somebody wrote a book about it. You know, there was a investigation by some European government group into it that was public. So it's supposed to be a big secret, but it's not. So every country has its own little group. So in Australia, it's a group called the Defence Signals Directorate, and the Defence Signals Directorate monitors phone calls. Now, some of you might have heard of it, the Echelon system. That's the name that's been given to it by us, by the people. The people have called it that. It's not like that's the name on the folder or anything, but that's what we call it. So some of you might have heard about it. Those who haven't heard about it, would you be surprised to hear that the Echelon system has been working for over 50 years? But it's been working since the 60s, and it was originally set up during the Cold War. So the idea was it was supposed to intercept communications in and out of all those countries that I mentioned. And of course, like any system like that, it wouldn't only be phone calls in and out or communications in and out, would it? Obviously, it would be other domestic ones as well. It would be inevitable, wouldn't it? So, phone calls, faxes, and telexes, I guess they had then, and communications in general. So, signals intelligence, it's called. Signals intelligence. So, it's usually monitored by the military, right? So, the idea was it was part of the big spy thing going on with all the countries spying on each other, you know, in particular the Soviet bloc countries and the Western countries. So that's been going on for over 50 years, right? So, where to start with this one? First of all, I think it's understandable that people feel that they don't want people listening into their phone calls and so on. That is understandable, you know. It's also understandable, though, I think, if we put the spotlight of common sense onto it. So in the Soviet era, they would have had, that was the excuse to do it. And now the reason that they're doing it is because of the terrorist thing, you know. They're stepping it up because of the terrorist thing. And I know a lot of people say that's just an excuse to do it, and it's all part of the big conspiracy and everything else, but I think it's fair to say that it would be more difficult to try and get on top of the terrorist situation and that sort of thing, because the bottom line is that those countries in that list have got themselves in the shit recently by getting involved in other people's crap, right? So sending our armies, you know, to other countries has put us out of favour with lots of people. That's why there's people wanting to kill us, you know. So Britain's had terrorist bombings and terrorist killings recently, and stabbings. America's had their share, and you know, Australia hasn't had any directly, but it was attacked. Australia's people were attacked in Bali, so we're getting attacked. So I mean, ideally, I think we'd all just take our soldiers back into our own countries and stop messing with other people's stuff and stop bombing other people's countries, and then maybe the terrorist people would stop trying to kill us, and that would make life easier. But the bottom line is that right now we are in all these other countries, and there's a lot of people that don't like us because of that. So I think it's probably fair from a security point of view to say that phone intercepts and things like that are probably an important part of getting on top of that problem, you know. And there's some people that argue, oh, but it doesn't work, look, there's been bombings. Yeah, well, you know, that's that argument that you can't stop it all, so why bother sort of stuff. You know, heroin's illegal, but people still use heroin, so maybe we should just give up and just make it legal and let everybody use heroin. Or, you know, you can't control guns, so let's just give everybody guns. Let's hand out some more guns. A little bit like that. Look, we can't stop the terrorists, so let's stop trying, you know. Or there's other people that argue, of course, that what we can do is we can just monitor the terrorist phone calls, right? Which is sort of a fair argument, I guess, that, you know, okay, they should only be listening into the criminals and the terrorists, and they should have to have warrants. That's an understandable call. You know, they should have to have warrants to be listening in on phone calls. That's probably true too. But with the technology, I think what would have happened in the old system in the 60s, they would have been just listening. It would have been rooms full of people just listening in, you know. But I think with technology being what it is now, the systems would scan for particular words. So when they'd be scanning all the phone lines, and when someone said terrorist or bomb or explosive or explosion or, you know, target or kill or something like that, it would be picked up by the system, and a human being would listen to it probably. You'd imagine that'd be the way it'd work, right? Because if you look at the statistics, look at how many million people live in your country and how many million phone calls would be made at any given moment in time. It would not be possible for people to be sitting around in rooms listening to every phone call, would it? It's just not possible, is it? So I think, I don't know, I think if some people would say, let them do it. I mean, I've got to admit, I don't care. I really don't care, you know. I just don't think there's people sitting listening to every phone call. I think these things are computerized, and the way it gets put out in the media, oh, they found it, you know, they've got all this data and they've been listening to everybody. And look, I really don't think that it's just not. It's if you look at the common sense spotlight, put the spotlight of common sense on it, it's just not possible for a person to be listening to every phone call. It's just not possible. You know, you could have thousands of people in a room, and it's still not possible for a person to listen to every phone call, because it's just not possible. The numbers, look at the numbers. There's millions and millions of people live in our countries, you know, and it's just not possible. And the millions of phone calls being made every moment, it's just not possible to listen to them all. So it's really only going to be the targeted ones. So, and even then, just imagine I'm talking to my friend on the phone, and I say, yeah, see those terrorists killed in Boston with a bomb, and then maybe the system picks up on that, and then a person does listen to it, and they listen to it, and I'm talking to my friend and say, that was terrible, that thing that happened in Boston with the bombing and the terrorists, and that was just a terrible situation, wasn't it? And anyway, so on the weekend I went and saw John, and no, and then the person goes, yeah, okay, woof, next. Alright? Now, just personally, I don't care. And I know there's some people that okay, well look, they can see your phone number, and they can see what phone numbers you've called, and you can say, you know, they can see exactly what you're doing, and you know, and I know the reaction I'm going to get to this video. There's all these people are going to be going, you're naive. Anytime you don't believe in all the conspiracy shit, you get called naive. You're naive. You're ignorant. You believe what you're told by the man. No. Actually, I'm a pretty critical thinker, but I just look at the spotlight of common sense on these things, and I know people who've worked in government agencies. I know people who've worked in high security jobs, you know, and they don't give a shit. And nobody, I just cannot imagine anybody sitting around in a room somewhere listening to my boring phone calls. They're not going to bother. It's not interesting. They don't care, you know, or my emails or anything else. There's nothing that I'm doing that's that interesting that anyone's going to give a shit. These guys are going to be focused on trying to find people planning stuff, terrorist stuff or other violent stuff, you know. And as for some conspiracy thing where they're going to connect my phone number with who I've been calling and everything else, no, I don't think if I've been calling up prostitutes or phone sex lines, or I don't think that anyone's going to care. Or whatever it is that you're worried about. I mean, different people worry about different things, you know. That, if they know who you've been calling and they can put together who you've been calling and what you've been doing. And, well, I don't know. I think if you're Joe Public and you're not breaking any laws, first of all, I don't think the government's going to be interested in you. And secondly, who cares if you're not doing anything wrong? You know, I don't think they're going to be interested. I don't think they're going to be listening, and who cares if you do anything wrong? So, anyway, as far as I'm concerned, I don't care. You know, ideally, every phone that they listen to that have a warrant to do it, I think would be great. But practically, it's not practical. It's just not practical. You know, the way security services work, you know, someone's talking to someone and they're listening to it, and then someone calls someone else, and they want to listen to that too, because that guy's about to call that guy. Let's listen to that, quick. You know? And to run off and get a warrant to listen to that second phone, it's just not practical. I don't think. I mean, ideally, look, ideally, all our soldiers go back to our own countries, we stop killing other people, they stop hating us, they stop bombing us, terrorism stops, it's all good. But that's not going to happen, because our governments think that by going and killing more people and bombing more towns, that's going to make them love us, and that's going to stop terrorism, you know? So, as long as they keep using that strategy, we're going to keep getting terrorism. It's not going to stop, you know, because you can kill as many people in villages, in mountains as you want. You're not going to kill everybody that wants to kill us. It's not going to happen. The numbers are just too big, you know? So we're stuck with the terrorism as long as our governments keep doing this stupid shit that they're doing, which means that we really got to let them do this stuff with the phones, I think. So, okay, so there's a whole bunch of really emotional people who've probably already left their comment, right? You're an ignorant, you don't know, you're a puppet, you're a, what else would they say? All the usual shit that they say, where they think that they know more than everybody else because they believe all the paranoid, delusional, conspiracy stuff. But anyway, that's fine. Here's one for you though. Let's just say that we want our information to be kept private. We don't want anyone to know about it. The government trying to keep all this stuff secret, right? So they do all this secret information gathering and trying to keep it a secret, aren't they? And recently, now and again, some nerd will come along and download all this shit onto a huge memory stick. I don't know how they get the shit out of there, but download a whole heap of stuff onto a big memory stick and walk out of there and give it to Julian Assange, right? And he puts it on the internet. So, and every time that's happened recently, everybody goes, oh, he's a hero. And there's people in the streets holding up signs, Bradley Manning's a hero, and who's that recent guy? Can't remember his name now, but the recent guy, he's a hero too, and he's a hero too. Here's one for you. First of all, those people took oaths. They took oaths. They gave their word that they would keep everything that they learnt in their jobs a secret. They wouldn't give it away, right? They took oaths. Now those people have broken their oaths, and now everybody's saying, oh, they're heroes. Well, okay, so they're heroes because they've told us that the American military bombed innocent civilians in the mountains. Well, we knew that. They've done that in every war since the beginning of time, so we knew they were doing that. We knew that was happening. But anyway, that's great. They've told us that. And they've told us that our phones are being bugged. Well, phones have been bugged since the 60s. Admittedly, the system they're using now is obviously more thorough because they've got the benefit of being able to use computers, which gives them a whole heap more possibility, doesn't it? But these guys that you guys are calling, or some people are calling heroes, you're basically just some dude. It's not the government deciding, it's not a committee deciding, it's not a group of people deciding where this information will be released. It's one random dude decides to release it. Now, until now, every time this has happened, we've called them heroes. What happens when one of these dudes takes all this information and puts it on the internet, or gives it to the media, or puts it on the internet where everybody can see it? And then your personal information's available to everybody, isn't it? So those people that are worried about their privacy, you're worried about your privacy, but at the same time you call the guys that are releasing that information to the public heroes. And I understand why. It's because you're saying that they've exposed this corruption and they've exposed the conspiracy and the secret and everything else. But, I mean, they haven't really exposed anything. But even if they have, the time will come. You watch what happens is that the people that are working in those high security jobs now are seeing these guys called heroes, and they're seeing that, oh, well, it's okay to do that. Now, how long is it before someone takes that information and makes it public and either risks soldiers' lives by giving away information and people die as a result? Now, you know, oh, that's not going to happen. It could. Or just puts all that information out there on the internet where everybody can get it. And then that personal information that we've been so upset about, you know, people listening into our phone calls and getting our information, how about when it's given out to the public, or it's put online, put on the internet, or sold? You know, one of these guys that works in these high security jobs gets offered $2 million to give this information to some suspect corporation or some group of criminals or something that then use it to steal our money or to raid our bank accounts or to do other harm to us, you know? So I know this is an emotional thing. I've probably got a little bit too serious about it myself. I don't get so emotional about the topic. I don't really care about this topic terribly much. It's just that it's really high profile, so it has to be sort of addressed. But I don't care. Quite often, quite honestly, if it just maintained the status quo at the moment as it was, I don't really care either way. And these guys stealing the information and releasing it to the public, it's not going to be risking my life or doing me any harm, but it could do some other people some harm. And I think we'll see that. I think we're going to see that. That's going to happen. It's inevitable. If they keep doing that somebody get damaged by it or hurt by it. Some innocent people. Not much doubt. So, yeah, I don't get so emotional about the topic because I don't really care. What I get emotional about is the people that hammer those of us that don't care. You know, it doesn't mean that a person's any less intelligent or any less aware of what's going on in the world. I mean, I've worked in the security world for 20 years. I'm well aware of what happens in there. I'm well aware of what goes on in law enforcement. So, you know, calling people ignorant or blind or all those other insults just because we don't believe the same stuff is what pisses me off. It's like, you know, if you want to believe all the conspiracies and all the rest of it, that's fine. You know, that's fine. We need people like that. We need people who are skeptical and critical and don't trust what they're told and who go and investigate and stuff. We need people like that. It's important. Balances out for when there is a conspiracy. They're the people that catch it. So we need those people. But it doesn't mean that all of us have to believe all the conspiracies. If some of us choose not to believe that everything's a conspiracy and that selectively choose which conspiracies we believe, that doesn't make us ignorant. It just means that we have a right to have a different opinion, you know? So, anyway, ooh, stand by. Comment section of this one's going to be a beauty. Okay, more videos coming soon.